CE5, an extraterrestrial contact. Download my new book, now on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple, and 14 other platforms. Book authored by Donald Ledesma. CE5, Frequencies of Contact.
Join your fellow Starseeds, Lightworkers, and Experiencers at the 2024 Full Disclosure Now Conference, this July 15th to 18th. This conference will be a fun and positively life-changing experience for so many. In addition to 4 days and nights of presentations, there will be special event dinners, dancing, fun time on the beach, UFO night watch tours, film screenings, vendors, and more at the lovely Serrata Beach Resort on St. Pete Beach, Florida. Over 34 Montauk Project survivors, Secret Space Program whistleblowers, ET contactees, and psychic healers will be presenting in the name of the Full Disclosure Movement. The truth must be revealed if we're all to achieve our Star Trek future here and now. Get your event passes and book your stay now at fulldisclosuremovement.org.
Strand Podcast.
I'm here to discuss the so-called flying saucers. The Air Force interest in this problem has been due to our feeling of an obligation to identify and analyze to the best of our ability anything in the air that may have the possibility of threat or menace to the United States. In pursuit of this obligation, since 1947, we have received and analyzed between 1,000 and 2,000 reports that have come to us from all kinds of sources. Of this great mass of reports, we have been able adequately to explain the great bulk of them, explain them to our own satisfaction.
Transfer from Dockside Media, and you're listening to Alien Strand Podcast with Donald Ledesma. For the dopest paranormal documentaries this side of the Milky Way, visit Dockside.media.com for links to all our films on major streaming platforms. Till next time, keep on keeping on.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Alien Strand Podcast. I'm your host, Donald Ledesma, and welcome to today's show. Yeah, it's going to be a fun one. You know, I don't know what's going on here. What happened? You know, it's going to be one of those things to where you got to know exactly what's going on with extraterrestrials and human beings, right? Because we all kind of mix together, right? That's what this podcast is going to be about today. You know, I hope you guys have had a really great week. I know it was a hot one, like it was down here in South Texas. Oh, my God. It's so hot. I saw the devil walking around with an ice cream cone. That's how hot it was down here. Oh, my God. You know, I don't know. It's just summertime, man. It's like every June and July and August. Oh, my God. It's just blazing if you're down here in this part of the world. I know and other parts like Arizona, things like that, it really gets pretty hot down there as well. It almost feels like a magnifying glass. You ever been out there to Las Vegas and you're standing outside there in the summertime, it feels like the sun is just literally burning you like a magnifying glass. Oh my God, you gotta stay inside. I don't know how people live out there, but I guess they do. They probably enjoy that place. It is what it is. So who's anybody? Anyway, everybody, welcome to Alien Strand Podcast. I hope you guys are listening. Been catching us on 26, 28 platforms. Go to alienstrand.com. Check us out there. Don't forget, we got free web TV there, man. So you can go free web TV. Go click on where it says free Alien TV. Click there. And you'll be able to watch some shows there, right? For free, man. They're movies, paranormal, everything's there. Skylight One channel, you can watch it there as well, too, right? So, alienstrand.com or go to ASDP-UFO.com. Go see or report a UFO. Visit our friends that are ASDP representatives there because there's no I in team. We all work together as one, all right? So, we're just all over the place. Now we're new on Rumble. The video podcast is now available on Rumble. So if you do have a Rumble, go follow us there. Click a like there. If you've seen it, I got about, maybe 20, 30 videos already, maybe more already. I know it's kind of hard to get people from Facebook to that fake book. We'll call it fake book because that's what it is. I had such a hard time. And the podcast before this one, oh my God, I went off. I said some, it's not for kids. That's why there's listener discretion is advised. There's a reason for that because, I dropped a lot of bad words and F-bombs. That's not me, but it was that day because they peed me off really bad. But anyway, if you want to go back and check that out, go see the video of that. You need to, because I show the proof exactly how they're gaslighting people and how they're shutting them down for disclosure. And that's like working behind the veil, really. If you really think about it. These people were like working behind the veil, like with the government. They got their hands in each other's pockets. Who knows what's happening in there? Hello? But hey, it is what it is. And all we can do is fight together as one and just keep on putting disclosure. So go follow me on Rumble, please, and YouTube. Follow me on, X, Twitch, all those places. And you can find out my podcast there as well, all right? So I hope you guys are watching the video podcast. They're very informative, and I show a lot of videos and photos, especially of UFOs, aliens. The one of today, as a matter of fact, is a pre-recorded that I recorded earlier today, but it's okay. It's okay. The information is all there. The video is on Rumble. The video is on YouTube as well. If you want to go back and watch those, because I do show some videos of some aliens and of some really spooky stuff like in the spiritual paranormal part of the world, right? You get to watch that as well on the actual video podcast. So please go check that out. Please follow me there. We need more people going to those pages on the video podcast, as well as the audios here. I know you guys are kind of like coming down, but you know what? I need to bring you guys back to the audio, and that's what I'm going to be doing from now on. I've been telling you that. I've been writing my new book. It's coming out here soon, maybe in a month and a half. It'll be out. I'm on chapter 7, man. Yeah, just 10 more to go for 11. Yeah. So it's going to be a long book. It's not going to be very short, but it's going to be very, very informative, all right, about extraterrestrials. It's called Alien. That's what it's called. Hey, it is what it is, right? So, anyway, when you listen to this podcast today of what I recorded earlier on Rumble, you guys will be able to kind of hear exactly when I talked about extraterrestrials, how we all coexist, and maybe how we coexist with Native Americans. That's natives here in the U.S. and the States, or natives anywhere, really, in reality. That's a possibility that they were coexisting together and maybe teaching each other, one thing or another, right? And I do bring up those topics and points of the technologies and the possibility of why it was not passed down and why it's still not passed down today, right? So I will play this audio here in just a minute. I just want to make sure that everybody's enjoying Alien Strand Podcast. Please like, share. We can find us on Spotify, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. You can even ask Alexa. She'll play some Alien Strand Podcast. Now, if you guys want to reach out to me, 361-245-8000. Again, 361 245-8000. You have a story you want to get on the show. You're an author of a book, extraterrestrial things, supernatural. Give me a call, and I'll get you on the show. We'll do a video podcast or an audio or both, whichever one you prefer. All right. So I hope you guys are really having an amazing day here today. And, don't worry. Be happy, just like the song, right? And let's go ahead and I'm going to start playing the audio track of what was recorded today earlier on Rumble. I hope you guys enjoy this. I hope you get a lot of information out of it. And as much as, I love doing this, I love giving you as much information as possible as you're driving. If you're driving, be safe on the road. If you see a UFO, pull over where it's safe to do so. Take your video, photos out of harm's way. We want you safe on the road. Truckers, thank you for shipping everything that we need, especially eggs, man. Tell them to come down on the eggs. Too expensive. Ha! All right, guys. Here we go. Let's go ahead and play this now. Strangeness that happens that people don't really get to see on a daily basis, right? And I talk a lot about those in my films, right? In the middle part 2, the middle part 3. The 3 is be coming up here in a few months, but the middle 2 is already released. So it got released this year, and it's one of my projects that caught a lot of people's attention, and it's actually on Amazon Prime. So if you go to Amazon Prime, just look for this poster right here. It'll say the middle 2, probably be a lighter color, but it'll say the middle 2, right? CE3, and this one's called The Visitors, actually. So you will get a lot of information out of that film, right? And maybe things that have happened to you or to somebody that you know that have experienced something like that in that film, right? And it is catching a lot of attention, and I really appreciate that, guys, for everybody that's watching that have seen the film, that has given me thumbs up on it. Please do that if you really enjoyed the film, and it helps go a long way with disclosure. And today I'm going to talk about disclosure. I know in the last podcast I went on a really hard rant for a little while there, but it's not going to happen today. Today is PG-12, right? Or PG-13. We'll just call it that, right? Because we won't get I won't get too dark, right? It'll just be just what we're talking about. I won't cuss today, so don't worry about that. That is not going to happen, all right? So anyway, we always talk about how people have had contact with these extraterrestrials, right? And some have actually had a face-to-face visitation with these things, right? And we tend to try to figure out exactly, what has happened to these folks, right? Really, in reality, because, we always try to imagine what these little things are, right? And they always talk about the grays, right? We're always saying there's going to be a gray or a gray. I saw this gray, or they're right there at my foot of my bed at night when I'm asleep. Things like that, right? So these are the people that actually see these little things right here. So this is an actual shot of an extraterrestrial. It's a real picture of one that they caught out there. So I cleaned it up just a little bit, so you can kind of notice that it's got like a little shininess to it around the skull area, large eyes. This is what you'll see. You won't see no hole. You'll see nothing on the ears, barely a mouth, or no nose, or no nose at all, right? And this is like the 9 out of 10 what people see at their bedside, right? And we how do you explain this to people like we talked about, and tell them, hey man, I saw something like that and it's scaring the living crap out of me, and I don't know how to cope with it, right? Or it just keeps visiting me over and over. Now, I showed the video of yesterday of when I went on that rant of that little boy where the extraterrestrial is actually standing while he's doing fireworks, right? And these are the things that people don't get to see, right? You can't see with the naked eye, and it takes some analysis sometimes on your phones or your cameras or any kind of applications that you have that help you kind of cross over into making a clearer image out of it. I'm just going to show it to you again real quick while I talk, but like I said, this was in Virginia, and I showed this the other day. And the kids playing with fireworks, and there you go, and then they slow it down, and lo and behold, there's an extraterrestrial standing there on the left side of the boy, right? And you can't really see it until you start zooming in and you start bringing out the analysis part of of the actual extraterrestrial, right? This is what people are seeing, right? And it's kind of hard to explain. This is more of an insect looking like one, right? This is what a lot of people have seen as well, right? They say some of them even, will have hair every once in a while, right? So we ask ourselves, do these things, are those a future reference of us, right? Because a lot of people on like Joe Rogan shows and things like that have actually said that these are possible renditions of us in the future, right? What we have actually, turned into, later. And because this is what these things are telling us as well, right? So I'm writing my second book as we speak. I wrote the first one already. This is just a guidebook, right? So if you go look for it on Amazon Prime, it's there. CE5 frequencies of contact, right? So and you heard the commercial at the very beginning, but my second book, I'm actually going into more detail about extraterrestrial contact, right? And the visitations that these things have with us in dreamscape, right? Like in a subconscious sort of realm. And we have to, and I try to put all that together in my second book, right? It's called Alien, right? And that's what you'll be seeing that here in a month or two after I finish it up. I think I'm on chapter 7 now. I still got like about 9 more to go. So I'm still by halfway. But it's a lot of information that I'm putting into that book, right? And it's helping people realize what other people are witnessing out there, not just the actual extraterrestrial craft of the UFO, right? These are the things they're actually seeing, right? And and there's different kinds, right? Here's a video of one, and that I picked up here the other day. Now, some people say, well, that might be CGI. I don't know, maybe not. But these things look about as closest to what people are actually catching out there, right? And that's what these small videos are representing, that part of extraterrestrials. And how do we explain these things to people of what people are actually seeing, right? When they're seeing this extraterrestrial turn away from the light. They have those big black eyes for a reason, right? To block out light. In other words, they're very sensitive to light. It's very rare that you'll see these things walking around in the daytime. You'll mainly see them walking around in the evening. So let's see, David's out there. Oh, how you doing, brother? It's crazy how they're being filmed more and more late. Yes. Ryan Keaton, what's up, y'all? How you doing, brother? And how do we, like I said, I'm showing you these videos of these extraterrestrials, and this is what people are seeing on a daily basis, right? And I just showed you that video of that one, right? How these things are covering their eyes, right? Because of the sensitivity to the light is actually hitting their faces. And this is why they're so pale, because they're so used to living in darkness, right? That's the structure of it all, right? And I talked to Ryan Keaton today, but I don't think we got to talk about his Ring camera. I think he said it. He had caught something almost similar to this on his Ring camera. So anyway, this is how we perceive of what we're looking at as extraterrestrials, grays, right? This is what most people see. They don't see the Palladian type, the blonde hair, because and if there is those type of extraterrestrials out there, they're actually blending in. And think about it, they look more human than human, right? Then why are we got a lot of weird people, man. We got a lot of weird people walking around, people that make themselves look like extraterrestrials. They put all this stuff all over their face. Sometimes they change their eyes, they dye their eyes, and because they want to be that thing or whatever it is they're trying to perceive that they are, right? So why not mix in with the crowd? I mean, it would be such an easy thing to do if you're an extraterrestrial. I'm talking about the human looking kind, to mix in with humans, right? So and how do we try to figure what these things really are, right? And like I said, I've had people that send me videos that they have these visitations of these orbs, balls of light, mind you, balls of light that actually come down and go close to where they're at. We have a friend that she will be in the movie The Middle Part 4 on the fine one. Her name is Jody Lynn Brown. Okay, a beautiful person. I actually I had a beautiful conversation with her there in Sedona, Arizona. She was catching these orbs right in front of her, right? Literally feet from her feet from her feet. They were right there, this glowing thing, right? And her ex at the time, right, were actually seeing these things. Later on, it was over a year that it happened. After that, she has become very ill because of it. That's what she feels. So anyway, these things, as they approach people and human beings, we have to be kind of careful of what these things really are, right? Or what they're not. And we don't know if they're carrying some kind of radioactivity or any kind of radiation, anything like that might be harmful to humans, right? And I'm going to show you this other video. I've showed it to you before, but I'm going to show this other one of my friend in California. She actually got this video of an orb, and then after I zoom, there you go. You can see the extraterrestrial standing in the background, right? You can actually see. There he is. And that's the crazy part of it, right? It's seeing these things standing there, right? Right. And it almost looks similar to that one. If you really kind of think about it, it almost looks like that one from a distance. It's kind of hard to tell because it's not as clear on this image, right? Of what these things actually are, right? And these extraterrestrials have been marked all over petroglyphs, geoglyphs. When you watch the middle part one, we went to Oregon and filmed these ginormous, geoglyphs on top of a side of a mountain, right? And they look like two aliens that are back to back with each other. They got uncovered by the snow, the debris, and it's called by mass wasting. So that's how we were able to see these on satellite and actually caught those, right? And they look like two aliens. That's what they look like. That's the strange part about that, right? When we caught that on film, and then all these little things start coming together, one by one, as far as the stories, the contact, the actual visitation on some people of this little guy, right? Of this, especially this one. This is the one that they're seeing a lot of, more of a greenish color, big eyes. If you notice, this almost looks like the ones that they found up there in Peru, if you kind of think about it. Almost has that similar shape to the actual skull, the eyes, and kind of like like an apple, but with a point at the very bottom of the chin area, right? And it's just similar to it. Could it be these same kind? I don't know. These are the possibilities of what these things could actually be, right? And to break it down to you, like I was talking about my book, my second book that's going to be coming out, and I'm going to be talking about stories too about all these people that I interviewed, and you're going to get to hear their stories of things that you didn't see in the film, right? And it goes deeper and darker sometimes, right? And when I start talking about dreams and how people were dreaming of these things sometimes, and they dig into your subconscious somehow. So when you actually see an extraterrestrial craft, right? This is the first step of contact. When you see an extraterrestrial craft, you see one. After that, maybe the next day or so, you're going to see it again. And after that, you're going to see it again. You know why? Because you're going to keep on looking up. People don't always do that. They don't always look up. Now, once you see one, you can't unsee it, right? So you're constantly going to be looking up, and you have more probability of catching a UFO in flight, right? And so what usually comes after that? It's usually the contact, which these UFOs, they know you're watching them as they're watching you now, right? So this is how it interacts. It's alive, right? And it's alive with you. And by my research and what I've talked to people, I've noticed, and I'm starting to put two and two together, this is how everything happens, right? Even with the CE5 protocol, right? Even if you're just doing it on purpose, just to see one, after that, you just don't stop seeing them, right? And that's the most difficult part of trying to put this together of, am I going to see one of these little guys? You know what I mean? Or am I just going to see the UFO? Right? Am I actually going to see one walking around me and just kind of being there, stalking me in the middle of the night? I don't know. There's a possibility that these are the things that you are going to be seeing, right? after you've experienced that. But some of them will come later than others. It doesn't come right away. Some will take a year, 2 years before you actually see the extraterrestrial gray, right? And that's what we put in our movie, right? The middle two. You're going to see a lot of that in there of the referencing to that, right? But then you ask yourself, because in the movie, the middle two, we talked about spiritualism, the part of it of as a possibility of paranormal or maybe ghosts, right? Is this a ghost, right? Can it possibly be a ghost? And that's what we try to explain to people, that I don't know, because it kind of has the same kind of vibe, if you kind of think about it, right? They kind of move things around sometimes, right? Just like a paranormal ghost would, right? So they do the same things, and it's kind of hard to tell which one's which. I mean, am I seeing a ghost here? Am I seeing a paranormal, right? I mean, an extraterrestrial. Now, here's a photo, right, that you're going to see here of these kids were watching fireworks. Here we go. Fireworks as well, right? And once you start zooming into it, what do you see there, right? And they can't see it, right? But that is a spiritual being, I believe. That doesn't look like no ET or anything like that. That looks more like of a paranormal ghost of some sort. Maybe a demon. I don't know. But that's what people are experiencing when the mixture of paranormal and the extraterrestrial come together as one, right? They're actually seeing these things come into play, right? To where we don't know if it's a ghost, we don't know if it's an extraterrestrial, still until we start digging in and looking deeper into what these things really are, right? And this has been going on for a long time, right? Even since the beginning of time. I've talked about that before, how there's petroglyphs. This is where I went with that other thing. There was petroglyphs. They made geoglyphs, right? Petroglyphs are the little drawings that they do on the side of mountains, or they make them out of some kind of an ink or anything like, or they just kind of scratch it in the rock with another rock. There's a lot of them in Albuquerque and Utah. They're all over the eastern, the western side of the United States. There's a bunch there. So, and there's a lot of them that have to do with natives as well, right? Natives are the ones that actually had a more open consciousness or open mindedness of the things of everything. They were more open to the stars and the star people, right? That's what they called them back then. They were more intrigued by something that possibly visited their ancestors, and they talked about these things. They scratched them in petroglyphs, or they painted them on walls, so, using symbols and signatures, and so that way we could try to understand exactly what these things really are, right? And it's what you're going to read here, right? The Lakota Sioux, so forth, speaks of celestial visitors known as the Pleiadians, right? They believed that they had journeyed from Pleiadians, the star cluster, right? These beings are depicted of having shared their wisdom with people from Earth, right? Enriching humans, understanding with knowledge from the stars, right? So this is what the Lakota people believed with extraterrestrials, right? And that's the part that kind of mixes in with us today, right? Of humans interacting already with extraterrestrials, and looking at them in a normal kind of sense, because of course the natives, they're human, they're not extraterrestrials, but they're able to explain the extraterrestrial to us in that sense, shape, or form, right? So why not have been visited before, or way before, by these extraterrestrials? Maybe by these extraterrestrial star people, or whoever they were, that didn't mean no harm to anybody, right? They just wanted to kind of just communicate, maybe, or just kind of pass on some kind of, I know they couldn't give them technology, because it's just like us today. If we were to take our cell phone back to the 1700s and 1600s, they'll burn you as a witch, right? They wouldn't understand it, right? So, of course, they're not going to give the natives or anybody, technology, because they're not going to understand what it is. If you really, really think about that part, right, of the extraterrestrial. So, and why not? That there was many tribes. It's just not the Lakota, right? There was a lot of different tribes that talked about these star people, and they wrote them in their stories about who or what they really were, right? Right. The Sioux, like I said, I talked about it, and I'm going to read this real quick to you. It says, among various native nations, these beings were often called sky people or star people. What's more, these extraterrestrials, or perhaps ultra-terrestrials, are acknowledged by many indigenous groups, relatives of ancestors. The Hopi said the first was the Pleiades constellation, which they refer to Shuhukan. The Cree Nation has legends that say that their ancestors arrived on Earth as spirits and stars. Traditionally, the Zuni also believed that they were related to some kind of star people, right? So the Lakota star knowledge that was passed down through generations, beginning with the ancient ones. According to the belief system, each Lakota infant was born with a spirit from a star. It's called Arwanga. It says, when we die, Arwanga returns to the stars, traveling through the what Westerners call the Big Dipper. They say it's upon the trail of spirits, what the Westerners refer to the Milky Way galaxy, where we were reunited with our ancestors, right? So this is what they believed, right? And this is how they put everything together as star people. There was several, several native tribes that did that. Why did they do that? Right? And how do we not, believe what they had actually experienced? And they did, right? They experienced something that we're still trying to put together today with our technology that we have now. We use our fancy smancy tablets and all these good stuff, and our phones and everything that we have with our computers, to actually tell us more of what we don't really know. But do we really need all that technology, right? What they did was they dealt with it in their way, and their technology was with hammers and chisels, or rocks and stones, or whatever they used to show that they were actually in contact with these little things, right? Whether they spoke to them or they didn't speak to them, they were told that they were part of this extraterrestrial being, right? Why have that? Ask yourself, why have that mentality of thinking that we came from them, right? I'm talking about the natives, how they say that we are a part of them, and we return back to what that is in the constellations, right? The Milky Way. And that's the part that where we try to put all this together of these extraterrestrials, of what they are, right? Are they demons? I don't know. Or are they something different? Like I had my other podcast, I said, there's God, there's the devil, and there's these things, right? But these things some of them can be very vicious, very malicious as well, right? They're not all nice and, let's go to have a party. And how do we explain these things, right? And this is what people are seeing daily, right? What you're seeing right here is what people are drawing. This is an actual drawing of someone. They're saying that they have very large eyes, very large heads. They have these body-like suits, right, that actually blend to their skin to where you don't know how they were, how they're on their bodies, right? And we're trying to get these little things to talk, or however where they're explaining themselves. But this is what people are seeing in their dreams or in actual physicality right in front of them, right in front of them. This is what they're seeing. They're almost human looking, right? And they're humanoid. because they anything humanoid is going to have one head, one nose, two ears, a mouth, two arms, two legs, a torso, feet, hands, yada yada yada. Right? This is what they're going to have, humanistic, and this is what I talked about before. People aren't always going to. I mean, these extraterrestrials. I haven't seen a two-headed one yet, or 4 arms, or 16 arms, or whatever. This is what we're seeing, right? This is the only one I've been seeing, right? And it's more humanistic than anything else. And people do have these chilling stories of what happens to them during the extraterrestrial visitation, right? And there's a few groups out there, and I caught this group, and there was a story on there that they were talking about how these extraterrestrials showed up at their bedside, right? And how they kind of made their way in there, and this person was just kind of freaking out. I don't want to say their name because it's just a private group, and their story had a lot to do with what I was going to do today. So this is why I'm showing you what happened to this person, and I'm going to put it out here right now. So this is the story that I saw today. And it says, this happened when I was asleep, when I first noticed dark eyes and a tiny mouth in the background, just like the image expect, more pale with a tint in gray. At first, I couldn't figure out what it was. Then it noticed me looking at it. It came forward to me. I started screaming. I switched on the lamp and it disappeared. I'm still puzzled about what it was, something demonic or an alien. I've been involved in spirit hunting and have the interest in paranormal and aliens. I believe in both, but I think they're different, contrary to what some religious people say. It could have been either one. The reason I'm wondering is that 5 of my family members have all experienced UFO sightings, abductions. And I know these beings are interested in our family members. I also have strange marks on me. Once I woke up with a circle of blood. Another time, a doctor, I was pregnant, even though I had never had a boyfriend. So the doctor said she was pregnant. If everyone has any knowledge about demons or aliens, I'd appreciate your thoughts. This is what they're saying in this thing here, right? And this is what I'm talking about today. About are these things, extraterrestrial or demons? This person is questioning the same exact thing, right? They came to the bedside, right? How many times have we heard that story, right? When these things are approaching, you have some sort of a paralysis effect from it, right? For these damn things. And they're not going to ask permission. They're just going to come in. They're not going to knock at the door. They're just going to come. And she couldn't figure out if it was a demon or an extraterrestrial. And then being pregnant without having a boyfriend. I don't know how that's going to go, but it's a strange thing when people start questioning their surroundings, right? And I really like to know if that person's still pregnant, or did they have a normal child, or did they lose it, right? And I wanted to bring it to you guys' attention today here on this podcast because, I'm a true believer that these things do exist and they coexist with us, 150%. Man, the things that we're seeing up in the sky are these things. These things are piloting these crafts. They're not trying to be something nice or whatever there is to come visit and say hi, right? So it's not happening. But these things do exist. These things exist. And most of the people that I talk to daily are starting to see more and more evidence of this as these things start coming out more and more and more, right? You know, I spoke about the Lakota Indians, right? The natives. They talked about these extraterrestrials, right? So if this has been going around through time and over time, you know, hundreds and thousands and maybe more than that, over the years, talking about these extraterrestrials, and that means that these things have been coming around here for a long, long time. For some reason, they don't want to interact or give their technology to us. You know why? Because we're stupid. That's why. Humans are stupid. If we had something like that, we would not use it for something for good. I mean, as soon as they made the nuclear bomb, man, they used it, right? With that kind of technology or power, you know, we would destroy ourselves. So maybe it's a good thing that they don't really interact. You know, as much as many people want to say, man, I really would like to talk to one. You know, so would I, man. You know, I really would. I would like to pick their brain some sort if I could, or if they let me ask questions without being, you know, having some kind of sort of paralysis, right? You know, suspended animation, you know, just kind of locked in, you know, where you can't move. You know, it's a kind of bittersweet if you really think about it. It's bittersweet because the bitter part, we don't understand what's happening to us, and we don't understand why these things keep coming around us. We don't understand why we're seeing these things over and over, you know, at night, you know, almost like hiding in the shadows. We don't understand why. That's the bitter part, right? The sweet spot of these are because they're not giving us their technology, and that's the sweetest part, because that just means we're going to be alive for a little bit longer as human beings. Think about that, all right? You know, we're not going to really destroy ourselves, really, if they give us that. So, and like I said, this is what I wanted to talk about today, about the things that people are seeing, not just the UFOs. We can see UFOs all day long, man. But the experience of these little guys right here, and what people are seeing and what they're dreaming of, and the visions that they're giving people are sometimes beyond belief, right? Beyond belief. That's why I'm bringing these videos in, to show you that these things are around us a lot of times. And we're not, sometimes, you know, I don't think we're able to turn it off. Once you turn that switch on, I don't think you can turn it off until your lights go out, really, reality. It's hard to say it that way, but I think that's the way it is, right? These are my thoughts. This is my hypothesis on all of this, right? You don't have to listen to what I say or anything like that, but what I'm trying to tell you makes sense to me. So, and if it makes sense to me, I sure do hope it kind of makes sense to you guys as well. Ryan says we can't handle it. Some people can't. Yeah, it's true. It's hard. That stuff is hard. You know, when you don't know if you're seeing an extraterrestrial or you're actually seeing something paranormal, right? It throws you into a loop because they both live within the same dimensions, right? Of space, of time, of that time, right? And that's the spooky part. Is even that picture spooky as hell, but you know, I wouldn't want to wake up and see that looking at me in the morning or late at night, right? I don't think anybody, you guys would either, right? So how do we explain this to people without sounding in a different kind of way with, you know, your tinfoil hats, things like that, right? I'm explaining it this way, through Rumble, through YouTube, through any of these podcast, platforms that I'm able to get this information to you. Like I said, I have a new book that's going to be coming out here in about 2 months. It's going to be a lot thicker than this one. This is just a little handbook, but the next one's going to be about maybe 200 pages, right? And it's going to actually give you a lot of information of what I'm telling you here today on this, of my thoughts of how these extraterrestrials communicate with us and how they coexist with us in our realm, right? And how we are explaining to folks how we are seeing these things without sounding crazy, right? I mean, I don't know about you. I mean, I've seen everything else. I've seen many UFO craft in front of me. I've seen these things. I've witnessed these things myself many times. The only thing I haven't seen in front of me is an extraterrestrial yet. And to tell you the truth, I don't know if I want to see one. I mean, I would, because it would give me confirmation that what I'm looking at is unhuman, right? That would be my nail in the coffin for me, right? Because even if I was to take a picture, hugging him or whatever with the spacecraft in the back, you're not going to believe it. Ain't nobody going to believe it, right? That is the truth, man. That is the freaking truth. Nobody's ever going to believe that. You're going to be, you're still going to be, you're crazy. CGI, right? AI. That's what you're going to get now these days. They were supposed to change a law to where if you were using AI, any kind of AI technology to post on social media, you're supposed to have some kind of a banner on the bottom of that, a watermark saying it's AI. And if they found out that it wasn't that you didn't put your watermark on there, you'd be a deep doo-doo. So I really hope they do that, because I'm sick and tired of all these, AI things that they're throwing out there. And I get it. You can use it for, to try to make a point or anything like that, on your presentations or whatever, even on your books or, your films. I get that part. But you're going to need a watermark, man, because, you're mixing it to where if they're already flagging me, all over the place because they think everything I'm saying is crap, but I can't do it to them. That's the whole bad process of that. But anyway, we'll get out of that. But it's just, what I'm trying to say is that extraterrestrials, aliens, they are real. And people are experiencing these things 150%, right? And if you watch the movie The Middle Two there on Amazon Prime, I hope you do. Give me a thumbs up. Go check it out. It's a lot of hard work. Part 3 will be coming out here in a couple of months, and I do hope you guys enjoy that content that's on there. It gives you something to think about, just like I gave something to think about today, right? With extraterrestrials, what you're seeing there with the orbs, everything makes sense, man. Everything makes sense as it comes together, right? And even if you are experiencing these things, and haven't said anything to anybody, watch that film if you haven't seen it yet, and maybe it'll resonate within you to where you can say, you know what, I am experiencing that same thing, and maybe this is what's happening to me, right? And just give me a call if you want to. I'll be glad to talk to you or talk to anybody that wants to tell their story, right? That's what Alien Strand podcast is about. And I'm glad you guys are watching this podcast today. And I'm going to cut it a little short today, but it's okay. It's okay. As long as the information is out there for you guys, like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed this information, as I showed this and I presented it to you. If you like this podcast, follow me on Rumble, follow me on YouTube, follow me on X, all these places. Don't worry about Facebook. You go to Facebook if you want to, but you're not going to see this podcast there. They put me through a ringer, man, and I'm done with those guys. I just hate it, man. I hate that they did that, because I got so many friends on that. I got like 1,200 friends on that one, and I got about 12,200 people on the other one, right? So, by doing this, I have to start all over. really in reality. So anyway, I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. Please follow me, like this podcast. Hope you follow me here on Rumble. This is where I'm going to be from now on. I hope you guys had yourselves a good day. Have yourselves a good evening. And have yourselves a good night. Don't forget, Alien Strand Podcast. We'll see you soon.
CE5, an extraterrestrial contact. Download my new book, now on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple, and 14 other platforms. Book authored by Donald Ledesma. CE5, Frequencies of Contact.